Okay, whew, lots of announcements. Time to close in prayer, see? Bible prophecy has been a centerpiece of the ministry here at Calvary Chapel, Kaneohe, since 2006, when the Lord had impressed upon my heart to begin talking about on a weekly basis on Sunday mornings and teaching about what the Bible says about what will take place in the last days. We see Israel as God's timepiece or prophetic clock, if you will. All you have to do to know what time it is in God's timing and God's prophetic clock, you just have to look at the nation Israel. At the beginning of the year, we began a series looking at a number of prophecies to keep our eye on, a prophecy watch list of sorts. And I always like to preface this watch list by saying that this is not in any way any predictions, nor is this list in any particular order. These are just prophecies that personally, as a lover of Bible prophecy, and not just for the sake of loving Bible prophecy, but loving Bible prophecy because of what Bible prophecy means. And what Bible prophecy means is that my Jesus and your Jesus is coming very, very soon. And what it means to me, aside from the urgency that it creates within me, is it gets me readied and steadied so that his return does not catch me off guard. Well, we began with the first prophecy on our watch list, and it's how we really started the year, and it's with this Islamic terrorist attack on America. I think one of the prophecies that we'll see this year is America becoming more vulnerable to Islamic terrorist attacks. Now, I'm not of the school that you call them Muslim extremists, because this is Islam. There are over 120 verses in the Quran that incite violence and command the Muslim to terrorize and strike terror, become terrorists against the infidel, namely the people of the book. Who are the people of the book? The Jews and yous, the Christians. We are the ones whom they see as not only the great Satan here in the United States, but the little Satan in Israel. The second one we looked at was global economies continuing to decline, even going bankrupt. What's interesting? At the end of last year, we learned of Dubai's economic collapse, of all places, Dubai. And then in the last 2 weeks, I don't know if you caught this on the news, but apparently the nation, the country of Greece, is on the verge of bankruptcy. So this is a prophecy to watch, and I think we're going to see it more this year. And this really kind of dovetails into our third prophecy to watch, and that is the U.S. dollar continuing to decline and even collapsing. See, ultimately, the world's economies and the world's governments have to collapse, because when the Antichrist arrives on the scene, he will take rule over a one-world government and a one-world economy. So, in other words, it's almost as if this needs to come to pass in order that the end might come. Now, the supreme concern is that the U.S. is fast heading towards an out-of-control spending to the tune of trillions upon trillions of dollars, and it's growing continually, daily. And by the way, do you know how much interest it costs our government to service just the interest on this debt? The point will come, and it's certainly plausible that at some point we as a nation will simply be unable to pay even the interest on our national debt. Now what happens? Well, we as a nation, once the greatest and most powerful and most prosperous and most blessed nation on the face of the earth, will go bankrupt. This kind of talk, this kind of teaching, this kind of discussion was unthinkable even a few years ago, yet it is the reality today. It's like on a smaller scale for us as a household, as a family. If you and I go out and get all these credit cards and run them up to their limit, and don't stop there. You call the credit card company and you say, hey, can you extend my limit? I need more credit. And the credit card company is going to say to you, no way, unless you're the government. Then yes, we'll do that. And that's what the government did. They extended it. They extended the credit limit. And you keep extending it, you keep extending it, you keep extending it until finally you're so far in debt, you can't service the debt, you go bankrupt. What happens when you go bankrupt? You lose everything. Yeah. Some of you are looking at me, why do you have to be so depressing? Because it's a gift, and it's the truth, and it's the truth. It is the truth. It's happening. See, by design, the U.S. dollar is in the way and has to be removed out of the way to usher in a one-world monetary system. And it's happening, and it's happening now, and I believe soon, and very soon, we'll see this come to pass, perhaps even in this year. The fourth prophecy was Christians becoming increasingly persecuted and Muslims becoming increasingly tolerated and accepted. Just within the last 2 weeks, within the last week, 2 Christians were street witnessing. I don't know if you saw this on the news. I mentioned it last week. And were shot and killed for simply evangelizing and sharing the gospel. In addition to this, you may have heard about a number of churches in Texas that have been burned by arsons. And they've shown the sketches of what they look like and the tattoos they have. And of course, a symbol that you'll see a lot in satanic music, the upside-down cross. And that is a very, by the way, just parenthetically, you know the peace sign? The peace sign is an upside-down broken cross. Did you know that? Yeah. These are, anyway, don't get me started. That's a whole other sermon for another time. The fifth one was an accelerated deterioration of the church's spiritual condition. I'm sensing the Lord may have me at some future date talk more about this, because this seems to be one of those prophecies that really marks the last days. The way that the Apostle Paul, when writing to Timothy, as a pastor said, but mark this, in the last days, perilous times will come. And then he goes on to list some of the signs of these perilous times. And one of them, and really the common denominator in all of them, is an apostate church, a lukewarm church, a Laodicean church. But we won't take the time today. The sixth one really ties into the seventh one that I want to talk about today, and that is a move forward and toward the wiping off of Israel from the map. We talked about this last week from a prophecy in, of all places, the book of Psalms, Psalm 83, which describes prophetically how the nations of the earth will desire to eliminate, exterminate, and annihilate Israel and remove them from the map. Well, here's our seventh one, and the one we'll look at today. It's this Russian, Iranian-led Islamic alliance of nations being ever so close to attacking Israel. Do you remember when we talked about how that Ahmadinejad was on Thursday, the 11th, last week, going to make an announcement or do something that would be a blow to, quote, global arrogance? Well, the announcement came on Thursday, and it was that they now are ready to nuke Israel. So, shalom. And you're saying, and you want me to go to Israel with you? And they're going to nuke us? Yes, let's